On this episode, we're going to be reviewing the BATLEXP G350. Could this be the new budget king, or is it destined to go back in the box? So you might be wondering how we got here to the G350. Well, it's a tale as old as time itself. Two devices meet, they fall in love, one thing leads to another, and then we have the G350. Well, the first thing I want to do, of course, when we are comparing different things is to judge them by their cover. Or in this case, we're going to be judging them by their box. And of course, the first box here we have is the Anbernic 35XX. A very simplified looking box. It's small, no real print, black and white, monochromatic. When we move to the game console, the R36S, we get a very glossy print here with a picture of the device. It's very flashy. It's loud. When we go to the BATLEXP G350, we're getting really a blend of both of these boxes here, right? Of course, up here in the corner, we kind of have remnants of the R36S box here with this flashy font and coloring. And of course, on this box, we also have a colored print of the G350, so we can see a photo of the actual device. You can tell like the quality of this box very closely represents the 35XX. So through this review, I think we're really going to see that the G350 really is kind of a blend between both of these devices. Is this the best of both worlds? Well, we're going to take a look at that, so let's go ahead and take a look at the physical attributes of this device. The plastic on this is smooth. I was really expecting when I pulled this out of the box that we were going to get a texture a lot closer to the 35XX. You know, we can see these side by side here. The coloring, really not too different. I think the camera can kind of pick up the slight differences, but they kind of really nailed the color. This one's a little bit lighter. In terms of overall feel, this just has a grittier, kind of heavier feeling plastic to it. This one is definitely like a lighter feeling plastic, a little bit of a texture. It doesn't feel as cheap, of course, as the 36S. And this one, yeah, very, very cheap feel. No real texture to the plastic at all. It's not the cheapest of plastics, of course, on the 36S. It was actually surprisingly a little sturdier than I was expecting given its price. But, you know, now we have the G350. I was really hoping for the feel and the texture quality of the 35XX. But as I've kind of used this and played with it, you get used to it. And if you're not comparing side by side, this is going to be a much better feel than the R36S was. So let's go ahead and take a look at the left side here. We're going to have our volume buttons up and down, and of course our slot 1 for the micro SD card. Now on my build, I'm only using a 1-card build, but you do have over here on the right side a second SD card slot if you want to keep your ROM separate from your OS. Up here we have the small button is going to be our reset, and of course the one above that is the power button. Along the top of this device, we do have a 3.5 millimeter audio jack, and we have our USB-C. The G350 has no Wi-Fi built in, so if you want to use any of the features that require an internet connection, you're going to have to get an adapter for that. We have no video out compared to like the 35XX, so I'm not really concerned about hooking this up to a TV and using it. If that is something that is really important to you, then this really is not the device for you, because while you can get adapters for the Wi-Fi, there is no adapter to get video out on this device. So looking here on the back before we get to the front, we're going to have our shoulder buttons. They're very quiet, they don't rattle, just a real good build quality on this, and I really like having them staggered on the back here. This is much more comfortable to hold on the back. Just another really nice improvement on this, even over the 35XX. So that's the back of the G350. So let's go ahead and take a look here at the front buttons. We do have a fantastic D-pad, very solid. This is a much better D-pad than what we got here on the 36S. Yeah, I mean, it's just really night and day. This feels like a real quality product. This felt like the $20 device that you were buying. And then if we looked at the buttons too, the buttons on the R36S, I didn't really have a lot of issues with them. They worked, but yes, I mean, they feel budget. And when we come over here to the G350, these buttons here are nice and rounded and smooth. They're not loud. Really, really quality button, especially again at this price point. Start and select buttons being these plastic instead of rubber. I really wish these kind of had a rubber feel to them. It just would have been a really nice touch on this, but again, for the budget, these are fine. And of course, the menu button. And when we get down to the analogs, these analogs, again, they feel much better than the R36S. These feel very budget. They worked, for the games I used them, like arcade games. You don't need exactly the most sensitive and accurate joysticks. But yeah, the 350, a lot better feeling. But we are going to run into a problem with these sticks, and I'll cover that in a bit. When we look back here at the 35XX, in terms of buttons and D-pads, these are like identical for the most part. I will say I do like kind of having the print here on the 35XX be on the device when it comes to the text. I just prefer having the text down there than having them printed on the buttons here for A, B, X, Y. And then the start and select on here is just an indented print. It actually has no color to it. And so this one just pops. It has more of a retro feel to it. Also, when we come down here to the audio grate, the speaker's actually behind here on the 35XX, whereas here on the G350, there's nothing. It's actually just part of the case. It's just a mold. It's not open at all. The speaker, you're actually going to find here on the bottom, and it comes right through this little slit. And so for the games that I'll be playing on this speaker on the bottom is going to be fine. Yeah, it would have been best to have a front-facing speaker, but at least it's not a back-facing speaker. So given the price, I'll give a pass on the speaker placement. It could be worse. But I just wanted to show you what you're going to get out of the box with the stock firmware. And as you can see, we have a lot of different emulators already set up on here and the ROMs in here. Now, I will have to say that the ROM set on this is not the greatest. In fact, it's pretty bad. I would go ahead and just use your own ROMs, get those installed. Yes, you can play these. There are a lot on here. They have a lot of things, but of course the naming convention all has the digits in front, so they're not in alphabetical order. It's whatever they decided to number them. A lot of the more popular ones are at the top, but again, I like to have that in alphabetical order. Makes it a lot easier to search and find the game that you're looking for. Also, on this device, on the ROM set, you're not going to find those plumbing brothers at all. Those have all been removed. Load your own ROMs if that's possible. You could get by on this. I mean, these are playable. I do want to show you kind of what you're getting. I think a lot of times when people get these budget devices, they don't want to deal with loading the ROMs themselves or, setting up the emulator. So I kind of want to look at, if you pick this up, is this playable? Is this a good option? And it is. It has a very good selection of ROMs, but they are in a very weird order, and it makes finding the particular one that you're looking for pretty hard. One interesting thing here, when we go into our arcade, we have something called V-Arcade, and this is going to be for vertical arcades. So let's go ahead and we'll load up the Contra arcade version, and we're going to see exactly what it's doing in these vertical arcades. It's going to load, and as you can see, it has the screen rotated for us already so that it will fill this 4x3 screen. And that's great, but you'll see that the left thumbstick is still mapped up and down. But what they have done, they have mapped the right thumbstick to be able to be used for these vertical arcade games. Now, this is really not a comfortable way of playing these vertical arcades. This is really, really cramped and very funny to have the screen off to the side. I don't recommend trying to play this like this. This is just very awkward. And so I believe with these vertical arcades is why we have an issue here with the right thumbstick. They have rotated this thumbstick hardware-wise, and software they're using to flip it around, because I will show you here. Let's go ahead and go back to the setup menu. We're going to go ahead and open our test, and inside the test here we're going to see that the left thumbstick, of course, up, down, left, and right, A, B, all of our buttons are working as normal, and our right thumbstick still registers up, down, left, and right. And so they're correcting for this, because what we're going to do is I'm going to show you custom firmware. We're going to go ahead and put Arc OS on here, and we're going to test this right thumbstick. All right, so now we have the G350 with Arc OS installed. Let's go ahead and go into the options menu, advanced, and down to controller tester. Let's go ahead and launch that. Now, we're going to get all the inputs, and of course it's not in a nice graphical thing it was on the other, but we are getting some text inputs here. And so we can see like there we're getting a left input on the analog. I push up, we're getting an up input. I'm going to come over here to the right thumbstick and we're going to push up. And you can see we're getting a right input coming off of that joystick. If we push left, now we're getting it up. And so we can see that that's actually, if we were holding it for a vertical handheld. Pushing up now is registering up. So what I want to do is go ahead and open up this G350 and see exactly what's going on with this right thumbstick. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to flip this over, and we've got 6 hex screws here on the back. Let's grab our tool here. Let's go ahead and open those up. I can already feel the case kind of coming apart, so I don't think we're going to have issues there. Definitely felt it loosen up, but I think we're still going to have to grab a little sponger and get that open. Work that around the edge there. Boom. Okay, completely popped off. We're going to take a peek in here. It looks like, yeah, we just got the battery. Let's go ahead and just disconnect that battery. Pull that out. That entire back case is going to come off there. And we're looking at a 3200 milliamp hour battery in there. And so now what we're looking at are these joysticks, and it seems to be under this little pad here. So let's go ahead and open that up. And for that, we're going to need just a regular Phillips head. All right, so now that we've removed all 5 screws, we're going to go ahead and pull this away. And again, this is just a plastic shield back here. And so, okay, here we are. We're looking at the mounting of these joysticks. And we can kind of tell, yeah, this one's been rotated into this position. Now, unfortunately, I don't think that we're actually going to be able to swap that around to have it mount correctly. It should be in the same orientation as this one, which is the 2 screws here. If we do that, it doesn't look like we'll have a mounting point for this joystick. And that's kind of what I was concerned with opening this up, is that, you know, they designed it to be this way from a hardware basis. Let's try. Let's see what happens here. Let's go ahead and pop our little joystick ribbon cable out. So just make sure you lift up that little black ribbon there. Just gonna slip out the cable there. Let's go ahead and unscrew the 2 joystick screws. So yeah, definitely we can see it should be mounted up in this position here, like so. But unfortunately, you know, besides not having a screw to attach that, it is a little bit taller here. So it's just, there's not even enough room for it to be oriented correctly and still fit inside the case. And of course that ribbon cable right there is not going to be long enough to come back across here. So really, I mean, it's been designed from the board up to have these joysticks mounted the way that they are. Just kind of an oddity there, and something that, again, when you're loading custom firmware, you're going to run into. It's kind of really the only negative that I can find with this whole physical setup to this device, is that you got to kind of deal with this now when you load up your own firmware. And so you can do it in RetroArch, you can go in and set all this up, but just know if you're running into issues anytime you go to use that right thumbstick, you're going to have to manually adjust that in the RetroArch menus on a per game basis. In terms of all the systems that you're going to be able to play on this, Dreamcast is the one that's really going to be kind of pushing this device. We can go ahead and launch Soul Calibur here. So the graphics are not the best. I think there's some frame skipping going on here. Keep that running decently. But this is, you know, somewhat playable just for a little bit. This is not a accurate recreation, of course, of the Dreamcast. That's just not going to happen on this, but you are going to find a few things that are going to work fairly well. So when we look at the G350, are we getting any better performance in this newer device over the R36S? Let's take a look here at Marvel vs. Capcom 2 on the Dreamcast. And this is really going to be a system that pushes both of these devices to their limits in terms of what they can emulate in a playable state. And as you can see, as we play through the main intro here to the game, we're getting the exact same frame rates on both systems. So we're really not getting any performance boost or any negative hit compared to the R36S. Nintendo 64, same way. It's going to be really hit and miss. It's not the greatest. So one of the games I really like playing on the Nintendo 64 is Blitz. This is where having the analog stick really helps. This one's usually a little harder to emulate. I'm sure we're going to get some slowdowns. Already getting stuttering. So not 100%. You can hear the audio skipping around. Still a little bit playable, you know, it is a little slower. You're not going to get 100%. PlayStation looks good, you know, PSP, there's a few that you're going to be able to run on here. Of course, with a 4:3 screen, when you're dealing with PSP, is not the best. So here we're going to look here at this PSP game. That Princess, So we can see here, Fat Princess, not the smoothest. Audio is choppy. So we're gonna see, we can bring in here in the settings. You know, we're running 1:1. Frame skipping is off. So, you know, we could turn that on and see. You can hear, again, we're not playing at 100%. Don't buy it for PSP. It's just kind of a fun adventure to see what's in there, but nothing I would really be playing on here. PlayStation is great, and that's why to get yourself a nice big card, because PlayStation on this looks fantastic with a 4:3 screen, and of course any of the other retro systems. Both of these, the R36S and the G350, are going to run ArcOS as a custom firmware, so I have that loaded as both. And we're going to take a look kind of at the screens and see what we're dealing with. In fact, we can take a look here at some footage of all three screens playing, and I kind of find the G350 to be a little bit richer, a little more contrasty in there. Now, maybe you can get in there and mess with some of the settings. So let's go ahead and make sure our displays, we're going to set both of those to 100. To my eye, you know, of course, the R36S is brighter, but it's a lot more washed out than what we're getting on the G350. I've noticed that the G350 isn't as bright as some of the other devices, so, you know, playing outside is going to be a real issue. But even on the R36S, you know, you weren't playing this in the daylight either. You know, between $5 and $10 cheaper to get the R36S, the G350 is really worth the price. As much as I like this R36S, the feel of the plastic, it feels cheap, it looks cheap, and we just have a much better build quality here on the G350. But on the R36S, the right thumbstick is not rotated. So the G350 really isn't adding anything new to the budget retro game handheld market in terms of emulation. What it is adding is build quality and comfortability of using the device. So is the G350 going back in the box? Not today. That's going to be the R36S. While I enjoyed the R36S, a little bit of extra cost for the G350 is well worth the price. You're getting much better buttons, much more comfortable feel than what the R36S was. And the G350 is now going to be my new budget king. So I'd be curious to hear from you on your thoughts on the G350. I'd also be curious to hear from you if you have the R36S and whether you think it's worth upgrading to the G350. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next video.